right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are doing the full episode on Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Hopefully, if you've been subscribed to the show for a while, you already listened to our little special mini episode with my parents talking about this one, our initial reactions. But now we're going to get into some puzzle pieces and do it with the help of the Lady-Wan from the Screen Fix podcast. She's been on the show before, but just on the Avengers Super episode. So she's never been on a full episode before. So I've been trying to get her on for a while and glad to have her here. So this movie, of course, Hobbs and Shaw, if you don't know much about it, it's a spin-off of the Fast and the Furious films, which is absolutely ridiculous that it even needs spin-offs and that it's become this big universe with super soldiers and God knows what else. But people love these movies and they are absolutely ridiculous. And when they lean into that ridiculousness, that's when they're at their best. And, well, we'll get into whether or not this one leans in the right ways when we get into the conversation. Before we do, though, I want to remind you to subscribe to Piecing It Together on your podcast app of choice. Also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, a movie discussion group, and go to our website, piecingpod.com. You can sign up for our mailing list there. Also, you guys know I'm going to start doing a lot more contests and stuff. Well, I just happen to have an opportunity to do a little contest right now. We were just given the go-ahead to give out 5 pairs of tickets to a free screening of Angel Has Fallen, the newest movie in the Has Fallen series. Is that what you call it? Olympus Has Fallen and whatever the other one was. But Angel Has Fallen. It's coming out in a few weeks, but we have screening passes for August 20th at Town Square. You get to skip the line and everything, and we're giving out 5 sets. So for the first set, I figured let's do it right here on the podcast. If you're listening to this episode, you're hearing this, you can email me by davidrosen@gmail.com. Again, the email address is bydavidrosen@gmail.com. And just email me with your full name and the subject line, Angel Has Fallen. Whoever's the first one to get in touch with me after listening to this episode, you're getting that pair of tickets. So shoot me an email. And let's get you to see that movie, and I'll be there so you can come say hi. So with that said, you can also join our Facebook group, like I said, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, which is where I'm going to do the next set of drawing for this movie screening. And hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of these screenings in the future. So let's jump into today's conversation about Hobbs and Shaw. All right, so joining me today, we finally got a full episode with the Lady-Wan from Screen Fix. Lady-Wan, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been trying to get you on for quite a while now, but I'm glad to finally have you here. Today we're going to be talking about, of course, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Do you think we'll use the Fast and Furious Presents title every time we mention the title?
It's so presumptuous.
It's absolutely bananas. But, before we get into talking about this movie, since last time you were here, you were just on the Super episode and didn't get to introduce yourself to our listeners. Why don't you tell people a little about yourself and your podcast?
Sure. Well, I am co-host on a podcast called Screen Fix, and we do the big movie releases that come out. We'll do like a breakdown of them, a little review, and then we fix them. So we give our ideas for casting changes, plot twists, maybe some exploring motivations, and we try to be really snarky and funny about it the whole time. We do not take ourselves seriously.
Yeah, I had a good time on there talking about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and
Yes.
I'm looking forward to coming back sometime because it's definitely a fun show and a fun approach to movies.
Yeah. We'll have you back soon. Got to make this happen.
Nice. Absolutely. So let's start talking about Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. There we go. I said it again. Um, why don't we? We've already done a special episode here on the pod with my parents, which was a lot of fun. So we've talked a little bit about what the movie is and everything. So why don't we jump just straight into some puzzle pieces? What do you got for your first puzzle piece on this movie?
So my first couple of pieces are really obvious because the movie is not that creative or original, possibly. So my first puzzle piece is just the James Bond series. We've got both our Shaws, our MI6 agents, the plot. There's a virus. We're going to Russia. The cars. It just screams James Bond. Except for instead of being sexy and stealth, it's like silly and loud.
Right, absolutely. And yeah, I mean this is like a bunch of like, I don't know, like video game dorks or something watched James Bond and said, I want to make that. But,
Yes.
No subtlety, nothing that makes it into a particularly good film. Although, I mean, I had fun with it. I'm not going to say it was absolutely terrible, but it's pretty bad. But I definitely had a little fun with it. But yeah, to the puzzle piece though, I absolutely the James Bond series, you could see its handprints all over everything with this, and all the spies and all that stuff. I mean, these are people just like almost playing dress up.
Yes, totally.
So I'll just kind of jump right into my first puzzle piece because it goes right along with that. I was going to talk about the Mission Impossible series, specifically Mission Impossible 2, with the whole virus being in the girl and they have to transport her along the way and everything, and the whole plot involves getting that virus out. So I mean, I think specifically Mission Impossible 2, but of course, just like you were just talking with the James Bond series, the Mission Impossible series, basically all the exact same reasons. I mean, these are guys who wanted to make a Bond Mission Impossible thing, but just amp it up with lots of Red Bull and all that.
Yeah, and also Mission Impossible Fallout because Vanessa Kirby is back again.
There you go.
She was
my dad
great in that movie.
My dad whispered to me, "Where's she from?" And I was like, "Mission Impossible Fallout. I mean, come on."
Yeah. Also, The Crown.
Oh yeah, well I haven't watched that.
She's
I gotta say,
fantastic in
but that is what I've heard. Yeah, and I love her name, Hattie. Which there's a lot of great names in this movie, and really in the whole series. But Hattie is such a ridiculous name.
For sure.
Well, what do you got for your next one?
My next one is super obvious as well. It is literally a line spoken in the movie when Hattie asks, "How long have you been working on the Death Star?" Like that set design of the Russian base was Star Wars. Like it was just the Death Star straight up. Like, and calling it out is just acknowledging, yeah, this is where we got the idea for the design.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just classic action. I mean, again, God, not to repeat myself, but like I feel like this is just a bunch of like dorky guys got together and watched these classic action series and was like, I want to do that. No actual particularly interesting idea to put on top of it. Just I want to do that. Yeah. I'm gonna again just piggyback right on top of that puzzle piece because I was gonna mention specifically Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, because of it being, I can't think of a bigger spin-off in movies, to take such a huge series and try to do a spin-off and like try to actually make it work with just some characters or some story element and trying to take that in a new direction. I think that is kind of like they said, well, wow, Star Wars did it, maybe we can do that with this ever expanding Fast and Furious universe. Which did the Fast and Furious need a spin-off? I don't know for sure necessarily, but they kind of prove that it could work, and I mean, I'm not sure if they have other characters that could potentially spin off, but certainly within this universe of just basically taking Cars and James Bond and Mission Impossible and just every action beat they can think of and throwing these a lot of globe trotting on it, because that seems to be a major point of the series as well. But yeah, absolutely. Rogue One was such a major spin-off from the Star Wars series, and it was such a bold attempt, at least. And I think this, is pretty bold for them to even try.
Definitely. Yeah. No, that's a perfect piece. That definitely makes sense. Love that.
Right on. What do you got next? Now that we're getting into some, you said some more out there pieces, possibly.
Well, this one too, it actually makes me think of what else they're gonna do with this quote unquote universe when they're in Shaw's kind of lair, I guess you call it, and you were seeing all of his cars, and he has his Mini Cooper from a job he did in Italy. The Italian job is the obvious reference there, but are we trying to imply that Handsome Rob is an alias for Deckard Shaw, and is the Italian job part of the Fast and Furious universe now? Like, can Mark Wahlberg show up as Charlie? Is this possible now?
That's a very, very good point. I actually forgot about that, but in the moment, I did notice, like, oh, is this an Italian job reference? And I completely forgot about that. Yeah, wow, that's a really good point.
Anything is possible now.
Anything is possible, and quite frankly, I mean, these movies are such pure just spectacle and don't have to make sense. I mean, they could totally pull that off. And especially, I'm sure we'll be talking about the cameos more and more as we get into this. Why not cameo a movie? Can a movie have a cameo in a movie rather than an actor? That's a new one, I guess. Yeah, that's really weird. But yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another funny thing is how like they just had to have car chases in this because it's Fast and Furious, even though really for this particular story it kind of made no sense. It was just like just shoved in there. We got to have cars, we have a super soldier and we have these two cartoonish, super spies, but we got to have cars. Lots of cars. Well, yeah, Italian Job is definitely a good one. So for my next puzzle piece, so again, I don't want to seem like I'm shitting on this movie too much here, but
it is exactly what you think it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly, it is. And one difference from the Fast and Furious series is I feel like this one, and this piece is maybe a little bit of a cheat, but I feel like this movie is inspired by every The Rock movie. Everything from Jumanji to Rampage to San Andreas, like every one of these just kind of. And I will stick up for Rampage all day because I love that movie. But all these very like average-ish action movies where The Rock is just The Rock and he's never really a character. It's just The Rock, and it just plays off of the public persona. And they're all very, very safe. They all have a couple of all right CGI action moments, and it's basically all they are. And they appeal to the most broad audience. I think that this movie is taking what's already a pretty broad concept with the Fast and Furious movies and just trying to appeal even further to just absolutely everybody, just like every Rock movie.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like a highlight reel for him.
It is. It absolutely is. It's now look at this and cast me in another 2 movies per year for the next decade, please.
Oh, and I will see them all.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So what do you got next?
My next one is my last sort of a little piece, which is, again, just a straight up reference in the movie. It's a line they say, "We're being chased by the Terminator." Like Brixton's super soldier is so Terminator. The way he just goes into every situation because he's unstoppable. So he's just bold and confident and just unfazed by our heroes, essentially. That's how he's playing it, and he's playing it well.
He is.
I gotta
Yeah,
say.
he's definitely he's such a great actor, and
Yes.
he's doing his best here with the material. I mean, he doesn't get to do enough, I think. Like they don't
Yeah.
go into all of his cybernetic upgrades and all that, but I mean, he does have a little fun with the role, and absolutely the Terminator is a great puzzle piece, and if they had gone more into his, human cyborg upgrades and all that stuff, it would have definitely made for a more interesting movie. But they go into it a little bit, and all
Yeah.
of that is straight out of the Terminator.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will actually go with my next puzzle piece, which also deals with Idris Elba's villain. Um, but it's actually the main villain that he answers to, which is just a voice that we never really get to see. And I thought of Inspector Gadget's Dr. Claw.
Oh my god, I did
too. There's probably other examples of this throughout cinema, but that character that you don't really get to see, you just get to hear him talk the whole time. And quite frankly, there were these rumors going around all year. It was almost distracting because there was rumors all year that John Wick, that Keanu Reeves was going to be in this movie. And I thought the whole time it was going to reveal at the end that it was Keanu Reeves the whole time. So I kept waiting for that reveal and it never came. And it was almost kind of distracting, but I still love it because it kind of adds to the cartoon feel of this movie.
Very much so. I totally wrote down Inspector Gadget. I was like, this director is Dr. Claw all day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, what a just again. I mean, how ridiculous that this series has gotten here. I mean, there's been a lot of articles, think pieces about how we really are going to get to Fast and Furious in space within the next couple of movies. I mean, we're already at cartoon characters, and Black Superman, it's going so off the rails. And I mean, that's why, like you said, I'll be there for all of them. That's why I am still going to see these movies, because they're so ridiculous. And while I think this one tries a little too hard to be ridiculous instead of actually being ridiculous, I'm still going to be there every time, because just for the promise of just really the most insane series out there. Each time it's just so dumb and it's just so
it just keeps topping
too much.
itself.
It really does. Yeah. It really does. This is, I mean, totally, on another point, but the scene with The Rock, pulling the helicopter, and I mean, that kind of stuff is what we're there for. And if we have to sit through a bunch of really bad jokes along the way, I guess we'll have to do that.
Seems fine.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Absolutely. So, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
So actually, my last puzzle piece, since we both had Inspector Gadget, is that scene that you just mentioned with The Rock and the helicopter. He bare hands a chain that is attached to a helicopter. Like, the skin should have ripped from his hands and then his arm should have flown off his body. This is an insane moment. I started giggling out loud at how wild it was. And then later I was like, oh yeah, like Captain America in Captain America Civil War. And he's just holding the helicopter down as Bucky tries to escape. And in that movie, Cap is struggling and he's a superhero. Meanwhile, The Rock is just grabbing a chain and he's fine.
Yeah.
It's wild.
These people are just pure superheroes, and nothing sets them up as it, but that's exactly what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to explain how he's able to barehand a chain that's attached to a helicopter.
That's absolutely. Oh my God. It's so freaking ridiculous. And you know what? I didn't even think of it, but we could throw the hurricane heist in there too, when they hang on to a chain in order to hold on from the hurricane. But but yeah, no, great piece, absolutely. Well, I've got I actually have three more, so I will just make my way through these, and they're all pretty basic comparisons here. But the first one I wanted to mention is just music videos in general. I think we get 5 montages, if I counted correctly, set to big hip hop beats. Yeah. So I mean, those scenes eat up a solid 20 minutes of the movie at least. Which, by the way, this movie's way too long. But that's just another point. But yeah, no, we get all these damn montages, and they absolutely just feel like music videos, every single one of them. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that one in there. Uh, Also, we haven't really talked about the cameos yet. We might as well talk about them a little
Yeah.
bit. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Expendables with just like trying to get every major
Yeah.
star of action movies in here. I mean, we only have a few in this one, but I have a feeling if they, Hobbs and Shaw did pretty well.
Yeah.
If they do a sequel, I'm sure that they're going to expand on that and do like probably 10 freaking cameos in the next one. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds, probably the best scenes of the movie, or at least the
Totally.
funniest scenes. And actually, Kevin Hart, who I don't love normally, is really, really funny in this.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. I was kind
Yeah.
of hoping he was going to stick around for the rest of the movie when he showed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got some really great moments. And maybe in our closing thoughts, you can tell some people about your theory with Ryan Reynolds. But
Yes.
and the one other puzzle piece I was going to mention was John Wick 3.
Mhm.
Specifically because of some of the cool color and lighting effects that they started to do in some of the fight scenes, and then they quickly abandoned it. But there's certainly a few fight scenes where they are at least trying to play with the cinematography and lighting to try to do some interesting, cool moments. And I still am kind of in awe of John Wick 3. I know you didn't like it as much as I did, but some of those moments are just so beautifully shot, and
Yeah.
I think that they're absolutely. I think that they were looking, even though it's so recent, it's only 6 months ago. I mean, this movie probably was shot in a weekend, and done in all post. So it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's basically all I got too. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, like you said, it's such a surface level movie. There's not much inspiring to it. I mean, they looked at these things like the Bonds and the Mission Impossibles
Mhm.
and said, let's do that and throw a couple jokes in there. I mean, let's run down the finished puzzle list. We'll get into our closing thoughts already, but the finished puzzle includes the James Bond series, the Mission Impossible series, and specifically Mission Impossible 2, the Star Wars series, and specifically Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the Italian Job, the Rock movies, the Terminator, Inspector Gadget, Captain America: Civil War. We've got, what do we got here? John Wick 3, music video montages, and the Expendables. So yeah, that's
That's it.
our puzzle pieces right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when trying to recommend this movie, I just don't know. I've talked so much shit about it, but I did enjoy it. It's like I did have a good time. I told a couple friends that the first 30 minutes is pretty much unbearably bad. It's all the scenes in the trailer just expanded, and the trailer was pretty awful to begin with. It's all the worst things about this movie are in that first 30 minutes. If you can make it through it, you've got some great cameos in the middle to that really, bring in some fun, and then you've got a genuinely fun last 40 minutes of action that's
Yeah.
like, that the over the top action you would hope from a Fast and the Furious spinoff. Do you have any closing thoughts on the movie?
I do. I guess we gotta talk about the director.
Sure.
Our unseen villain who's just a voice commanding Brixton all movie.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was wondering who it was. I had a feeling who I think it is. And then in the last scene where he's talking through, I think it's the helicopter to Hobbs and Shaw, the cadence just sounded like Ryan Reynolds and only Ryan Reynolds. And I
And
just think it's got to be him.
I think it's a great theory. I mean, again, it plays perfectly into the whole cartoon character thing of this. It plays
Mhm.
perfectly into the Bond thing of this and Mission Impossible with the double crosses. I mean,
Yes.
I'm quite frankly surprised that they didn't straight up reveal it within this movie. I mean, that takes a lot to assume that they're going to get to do another one of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely, you told me this theory on Twitter, and I completely, I think I'm on board with this. I think you're absolutely right. And God, they got to get Ryan Reynolds back. If they do another one, I mean, I don't even know that I want another one unless they get him back. And then, yes, it's the
Yeah.
perfect direction for this to go. And he does such a great job in the role. He's so funny. He's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah, he was my favorite part of this movie for sure.
Do you want another one of these, or would you rather a different spinoff, or would you rather another Fast and Furious?
I think I'm down with this weird direction that it's going in as it keeps expanding outward. So I think I'd want like a Hobbs and Shaw's, because you can have Hattie back again.
Sure.
And then maybe Dinkley. It's Hobbs and Shaw's and Dinkley, which was the Kevin Hart character. And then we got to have the director back. It's got to be Ryan Reynolds. I think it has to be.
So get the whole crew together.
Fun and insane.
Better plot, maybe. might as well bring Idris Elba back too. Just make him this time like 75% robot. Just get his brain or something.
Yeah, they rebuilt him. It's fine.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Is there another Fast and the Furious character you could imagine there being a spinoff with?
I feel like I was reading all the notes on these movies, and there's trivia is a bold term to use to describe the fact that Michelle Rodriguez has not been in 4 of these movies, and I feel like you just gotta go. You owe her now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, she missed 4 of them. Let's go see what's going on over there. Why not?
Here's an idea. Okay, I don't know who's listening, but Fast and Furious presents whatever Michelle Rodriguez's character's name is. I have no clue, but you bring it back to that actual Fast and Furious feel of the first one. And she gets to carry out a real, actual car movie, plot that's not super spies and all that shit.
Yes, please.
I think that would be awesome.
They can run in 2 different directions. They can make all the Rock ones absolutely insane world saving, and all the Michelle Rodriguez ones grounded in reality with cars.
Yes.
Why not?
And then just please give me XXX4. Well, I think we about covered it. I mean, there's not that much to say about this damn movie. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's fun, and it's fun to talk about. Did you see anything else recently that you'd like to recommend?
I can't even think that I have. No, the last movie I saw actually, this was the last movie I saw in theaters. Before that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I fell asleep in both of them at different points.
Oh.
I guess I gotta get like a better mattress or something, because I keep falling asleep in public.
I just went back and saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last night, and I liked it even better the second time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think great. I owe it a second watch then.
I think you do. I mean, you might have slept through a good part. I mean, there's a lot of good parts. So
every time I woke up, they were still driving. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
driving.
I could watch an easy hour of Brad Pitt driving, no question.
I think you did.
I think I did.
Movie.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, you're 100% right. Well, where can people find you and your podcast?
So you can find me on Twitter at the Lady-Wan. That's WAN as in Obi-Wan. You can listen to our show, Screen Fix, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, all the good stuff. And you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at ScreenFixPod. We post all our episodes on there, and we're very active with #FilmTwitter.
What are you guys doing next?
Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be like a 3-hour episode if you're fixing it. So
there's a lot of things to fix. Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks so much for being here, and maybe we'll get you back again sometime.
Yes, and we're going to have you back on ours again soon.
Testing. Can anyone hear me? My name is Toby. I'm one of the hosts of the Secret Transmission podcast. We do a satire show all about conspiracies, UFOs, the paranormal, cryptozoology, true crime, and much more. Our show was transmitted to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and many other podcast apps. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Secret Transpod. We hope you come listen to us try to explain the unexplainable.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that conversation about Hobbs and Shaw. It was a short one, but we're going to have a lot of long episodes, short episodes, special episodes, all kinds of episodes coming your way. This week coming up, we have an episode on the last black man in San Francisco. I mean, that couldn't be any more different from Hobbs and Shaw. But, yeah, we got all kinds of movies to cover, and some of them are, deeper movies with lots of puzzle pieces to get into, and some of them are just silly action movies. And speaking of silly action movies, remember, we've got that screening of Angel Has Fallen coming up at Town Square, Las Vegas on August 20th, 7 p.m. And if you want to skip the line and get in and get 2 free tickets, email me, bydavidrosen@gmail.com. The first person that hears this and emails me is getting on that list. Just email me your full name and the subject line, Angel Has Fallen. And then, of course, join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we'll be giving out 4 more sets of tickets. So got plenty of ways to get tickets to this, and we'll be doing a lot more giveaways in the future. So with that said, I think that about covers it for today. A reminder, as always, to please make sure you're subscribed to Piecing It Together on your podcast app of choice. And you can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. That would be amazing if you did that. You can follow us on social media at PiecingPod. Check out our website, piecingpod.com. And hey, that's it. That's what you could do. That's enough stuff, I think. Let's leave you guys with a piece of music, something action-packed for this Hobbs and Shaw episode. What did I use on the last Hobbs and Shaw episode? I don't remember. Oh yeah, that's right. I used Cut Open. So what's another good action-packed track? I know I've played this on the show before, but the song Burnout from my album Head Like Fire, that's another good action-packed track. So let's use that one. That would fit in Hobbs and Shaw, I think. So enjoy Burnout, and we will be back really soon with another Piecing It Together.
And all points west.